All right, so the beauty, I'm jumping right in. I started with, do I have any boogies? So we're really, episode 34 is my favorite number.
Support.
That's my favorite number?
34?
Yeah.
Why? 42 is mine. It's the meaning of life.
Really?
Yeah. Haven't you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I have not read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
You should.
So 34 is my favorite number because that was, you want to talk about an Al Bundy. You know what Al Bundy is?
Like, Married with Children,
Yeah.
Al Bundy? Yeah.
Al Bundy talks about how he was like the man in high school and all that. So I was the man when it came to football. The high school I played football for retired my number.
Oh,
and it was 34.
Isn't that Walter Payton?
That is Walter Payton. He was my favorite player. Good call. Look at you.
Oh, my brother had Walter Payton shoes. I mean, I grew up south of Chicago, so of course.
Oh, I did not know that.
I choreographed my own dance to the Super Bowl Shuffle.
The Super Bowl Shuffle.
We had it on VHS.
We may have to see that dance.
I might have to get my sisters, but I think we can recreate it.
So the coolest thing about, the Dave and Dave show, as you might have noticed, this is not Dave.
Not Dave.
No. We have Georgia with us filling in and to mix it up a little bit. The coolest thing about this show, one of the cool things, is that people can't see you from the waist down. So I'm not even wearing pants right now.
I was going to say hashtag me too, but no. I think that's wrong. No, we're clothed.
So here's the thing, just joking. I do have jeans on. So here's what we're talking about today. We have a lot to talk about. I put a couple quotes out here, and we're going to jump in. We're going to see what we can get, how far we can get. First one is, serve them steaks even if they asked for burgers. That is the main theme of today's Dave and Dave show, Dave and Georgia show.
Serve them steaks even though they ask for burgers.
Even if they ask for burgers. So this has evolved for me because of this industry. So, I know we talk about this limit of 500 agents, but it's more than just a number. It's more than just capping a company. It's literally doing something about an issue that has been identified, right? From NAR's danger report down. And the reality is that the bar is set so low, and I don't think it's just a real estate industry thing, although it is more prevalent in this industry than most. I think it's a societal thing where the bar is like, how low can we go? Right? So, owning this company for 7 years with my father, being a broker at a previous company for years before that, what they expect from you or what you give them, it hasn't been congruent. And so I'm like, man, I'm trying to serve them steaks and all they want is burgers. So I started thinking, why am I doing that? You know what I mean? If their expectation is just a McDonald's cheeseburger, why am I giving them a palm ribeye, right? So by doing the 500, I don't even know if agents or clients or people are asking for it. I think they are, but they're not maybe cognizant of what it means. And I said, we're going to serve you steak whether or not you're asking for it. Even if you're going to accept substandard, we're going to give you better than substandard. What do you think of that?
No, I like that because, you don't go off course by just one mistake. It's something you slowly drift over time. And I think that's what the real estate industry has done. From a broker standpoint, from an agent standpoint, and from a consumer standpoint, where it used to be, service. Now it's, let's go over everything I'm not going to do for you first. Yep. And that's kind of changed. And I think what you're saying is we need to bring it back to excellence.
So one of the conversations we used to have in the boardroom all the time, and I've had it as an owner, but especially as a president of the association, is who do you serve? There's 14,000 agents. I'm sure NAR has this conversation too. Who do you serve? There's over 1 million agents. And what used to frustrate the shit out of me was I refused to serve the lowest common denominator. Because if you serve the lowest common denominator, you're bringing everyone down rather than bringing them up.
Absolutely.
And it seems a little harsh sometimes, but I am such a firm believer in tough love.
I agree. our jobs, when you really, really look at it, you know, our job is to help you into this business or help you out.
Yes.
It is not, this industry is not created for everybody. There is a special set of skills and characteristics that will either help you or hurt you in this industry. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just about anybody really could go past their real estate exam. Just because you
I agree.
doesn't mean you should. And and there's an emotional element that I think gets really overlooked. I love what I get to do. It is almost, because of that passion, it's almost impossible to fail. Not make mistakes, but like truly fail at this as a lifelong career. And I think that there's no focus on that, ever. Like, tell me what you love about this business. Well, I don't love anything about it. Well, then maybe it's not the right place.
I love homes.
I love homes. I love
people.
You know, I love decorating.
Yeah.
Well,
so to be 100% real, and unfortunately, people aren't gonna like this. For the longest time, I called this industry the last chance industry in a last chance town. Right? Now, I believe Vegas has already started evolving out of that.
yes.
But for a long time, that's what you got. People on their last shot. I'm gonna go to Vegas, see if I can make it. Right? That's what we had for a while. And unfortunately, in real estate, what drives me literally insane, because it devalues, I believe, what we do and how much, what you just said about how you feel about it, is like, well, nothing seems to be working out. I'm gonna try real estate. Yes. And to be kind of over the top crass about it is, I don't want the guy working at Best Buy to sell you your house. You know what I mean? Like, real estate can't be your side hustle. It's too important.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. We talked about it multiple times. My father was a fireman. He transitioned out, but he took it very seriously, and he partnered with a professional that knew her stuff inside and out, and she was a full-time realtor.
Yeah.
So he set himself up to succeed.
Absolutely.
Right?
I did something similar. I mean, I had a career. I went to college. I got my degree to be a computer engineer. That's what I was doing. My real estate books sat for 6 months because every time I tried, something would break. And of course, my career was my priority. I actually quit my career to take a throwaway job. I'm like, oh, I'll just take a part-time waitressing job so I can get through this. And I gave myself 6 months. If I did not have a stable income in 6 months, back to it. And I had a significant, intentional transition plan. That makes a difference. I think that makes a big difference, like your dad did.
Exactly. And so I will put this out there. If you are a client out there, and you're debating about who do you find, who to use, you gotta find someone who's either a seasoned professional, because you know, amount of years in the business doesn't necessarily mean that you know what you're doing either. They gotta be doing a bunch of business. You gotta be current and in it.
Relevant.
Exactly.
You have to be
if
relevant.
you're not popping at least one deal every 2 months, one deal a month, you know, you should be saying, all right, well, this is a family member or someone I trust. Do they have a company behind them that is actually, I know that they're going to be being protected them. This is a serious business. You can get really hurt if you're not protected. And everyone needs an advocate. So, you know, I was thinking about this morning.
What?
Jerry Maguire. You ever seen Jerry Maguire?
Many times.
So it's one of my top 5 movies, right, of all time. Excuse me. Now, you know how top 5 movies, you have like 30 movies that are in your top 5 movies, right? This is one of like the most. And, you know, when he has that epiphany, he's a sports agent, right? Right on the levels of attorneys, realtors, used car salesmen, right? And he has this epiphany of, you know, taking care of his people, right? And it's this less rather than more. It ends up really, the whole rest of the movie is basically him going through this, whether or not I should run from my moment of clarity or I should just embrace it. Right? That's what the whole movie is from. So this is really, I believe, a Jerry Maguire moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's embracing what I believe the industry does not have the courage to deal with head on, right? The associations, they want the memberships so they can get the income for the relevancy and to be able to make those decisions and have that money to spend.
Right.
Right? And I've had many battles if we are in the business of growing membership or in the business of growing the individual member. Obviously, you know which one I like.
And I'm right there with you.
The business of growing the individual member.
Absolutely.
Right. Same thing with real estate companies. I get it. Like agents push down what they're willing to pay brokers.
Right. Well, and it comes from the concept that they truly believe that the biggest army is going to win, and that is so wrong. You know, we joke about the movie The 300. The biggest army does not necessarily win.
We're not going to give away how we're going to use that thing. So that goes into the second part.
Because that's one of my top 35 movies.
I could see why. So the second thing I've been thinking about that kind of ties into that as well is if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur.
Absolutely.
So there's also a quote that's buy cheap, buy twice.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I've had two buddies who are renovating their homes right now, including myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm in a full gut. And they didn't even try to buy cheap. They just picked the wrong people, right? So one buddy, and he's telling me the story. He started out with, we found a guy, and he had to do it on the weekends and nights because he has a full-time job type gig. And I said, you can stop the story right now.
Yeah, that's going to go bad.
Right, totally. And he just was doing a small half-bath remodel. And the guy did such a bad job that halfway through, he had a conscience and actually was like, I'm sorry, I can't do this.
I'm over my head.
And left the job.
Oi.
Left, like literally was like, I'm sorry.
I'm out.
Talk about awkward.
Ooh.
Right?
But mildly admirable.
Mildly.
At the same time.
Mildly.
That's why I process that. Mildly.
Other guy hired someone on, terrible job, leaves the job site. They have to hire someone else to fix it. I was, at the time, I read this quote on a buddy of mine, Jesse Youre, if you're watching. He actually quoted this, if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur. I was actually debating about not using my plumber that I always use. Because we have a lot of plumbing we need to do in the house. And it's like $12,000 for plumbing.
Right.
Like changing everything and whatnot. And I'm like, oh my God, $12,000 for plumbing. So I was having like the guy who does the tile take a look, because he's like, I could do the plumbing too, Dave. And I'm thinking, probably not a good idea. Read the quote, because you get sucked into this, right?
Yeah.
You want to do Taj Mahal the whole way. But the reality is you start looking at your budget and you're like, oh shit, now I'm busting my budget, right?
Yeah.
Which is the way it happens in every single remodel. So I said that was like a sign for me, and I went with my plumber and his professionalism, and I paid the money. Bring it to real estate.
Yeah.
Right? Without going after people's models, how do you see the congruency in that if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur? Or if you just go with the cheapest person out there.
I definitely agree. Now, I mean, if you've got systems to plug people into, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Being new isn't marginal. Isn't being marginal. Being new is being new.
No, being new. I mean,
But I agree.
If my painter brings on an amateur and he's the professional,
yes,
I'm cool with it because I know the professional is overseeing
they're
all of that.
supervising.
Yes.
But when hiring and working with marginal agents, the amateur it can be very costly. It's a sink on resources. It could be a detriment to the client and could in the end up costing costing you, I mean, when you go worst case scenario, like everything, that perfect storm of every single thing going wrong, and that happens, you know, you could be facing lawsuits from that. And so, I mean, just the cost of that is unbelievable and terrifying.
Yeah. Another one is don't step over $1 to pick up a dime. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I totally lost my train of thought. So when you're looking for a realtor, back to that, right? You have to make sure that you're with a reputable company and it's a reputable realtor. You got to do your due diligence. But Yelp and Zillow, be careful, because Zillow and anyone and their mother can go on there and just, like, I could have Georgia and Danny and every agent here say I'm the best broker, and it is what it is, right? It's a canned. You know, I don't trust online too much. To me, a personal referral is the best referral known to man.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And because, I mean, and that's where I always turn to friends and family and colleagues for recommendations, because I want personal stories from people that I trust.
Yep.
And that's where relationship-based real estate, when you practice it, is very beneficial.
Get a couple of, if a couple of friends refer you to different people, different people, interview them. You know what I mean? Try them out, see how it works. Okay, so we are also taking care of something on the back end to ensure that our agents are trained at an even higher level. So we are an independent, the way real estate works is they're independent contractors. So they hang their license. We can't force agents to do anything, right?
No.
That being said, we came up with a certified program. Just yesterday we had it at a manager's meeting. I got it from coaching programs that offer certifications.
Right.
So,
well, even designations and the different programs we have in real estate.
So we're starting, I believe, off on the most important thing, right? The thing that actually I believe was Zillow's secret weapon, and that's the Zestimate. Okay. I know people love to know what their home is worth, right? Yeah. But in the industry, we call it comping.
Yeah. Comping.
Yeah, it's comparables, and I teach a class. I used to. Georgia and Jennifer do most of the teaching for that now. I used to teach a comp class that was based off of the way appraisers look at comps. And just how you come up with value, because value is so arbitrary, right? And that's how I start out the class. There is no number for a house, because we basically, long story short, you take what is sold, you compare and contrast, right?
Yeah, adjust.
You get an idea of what it's worth, but the minute someone pays higher or lower for it, everything changes.
Yes.
Everything changes. So that's
one comp can completely change a neighborhood.
You decided you want to pay $20,000 cash over the comps has now become the comp.
New value.
So value is arbitrary, right? It's different. We look at something and I'm willing to give up more than she is for it, right?
Yeah.
So it's
very
personal.
There's different motivations.
Exactly. So to think first that a computer or an algorithm or AI, and I know I'm challenging Georgia on her computer science, to give you an accurate measure.
It can't do it.
It can't. Give you a range.
There's too many variables that have to be given different weights in different scenarios where it cannot be reproduced by a computer. And there is an emotional element that plays a part.
And there's so many things. I mean, we look at Red Rock Country Club, for an example. There's a West Gate, there's an East Gate. There's a semi-public course, there's a semi-private, there's a private course. One is closer to the Beltway and the power lines, one is not. I mean, there are so many variables. One side has bigger lots, some have smaller. Like, these are little, like, micro differences that play a big part, right? So even if you just stayed in Red Rock Country Club, where you would think that it'd be easier for a computer to take all the data and spit it out, it's still all over the place.
Yeah. It's way too subjective for a computer to grasp what needs to be done.
Exactly.
I mean, not yet anyway. I mean, when...
Maybe someday,
but not now and not in the immediate immediate future, meaning the next 4, 5, 10 years.
And then even then, how can a computer get into my brain and know that I'm going to overpay or underpay for something, that you're going through a divorce or I'm having a health issue? There's the variables are endless.
Yes.
Endless. So what I've decided, and with our managers, we've had the conversation, is we're going to start this certified program with our agents being certified, comp certified. So that's going to be the inside industry or inside nest. For you guys out there as clients, it's going to be basically a professional on how to comp your house.
Yes.
Which is probably the most important thing to be able to do in real estate. It's got to be, again, top 5.
Absolutely.
From a buy side.
And a sell side.
Oh, obviously a sell side. But, how do you list and position your house is super important. But what you offer, right? Now, in a perfect world, there's a number that makes sense, and the listing agent and the seller are getting there by justifying it, and the buyer and the buyer's agent are looking at the comps and getting there as well. But so that is something that we're going to be offering Nest agents. I personally will be teaching this. So it's going to be even more serious, not only more serious, but it's going to be different than the forms classes and mentee classes that we do right now.
Right. Yeah, because we do forms, we do mentee, we do tech classes on a weekly basis. This is going to be that Nest level of classes. And, when it comes to certifications, you have to meet a minimum, obviously, and the expectation is to maintain and grow. So you get certified, you're not certified for life.
No.
Our market changes on a dime, and this helps us and empowers the agent to stay in front of those changes. So they're always the first to know, the first to
don't even get me started. I'm going to have a comp test for you guys. You're not going to be able to this isn't the CE, baby, continuing education, where you just sit there and you get it. I'm going to give you a house, and you're going to have to comp it. And you're going to have to prove to me that it's worth that.
Absolutely.
Like it's, and I'm not saying I'm the guru of comps. I just feel like I'm pretty strong in this spot. So I am committing to you, all 435 of you, to do it. Can't do it over the internet. You got to do it in class. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take 3-4 months, 5 months.
Yeah, and it helps agents, put their money where their mouth is. If
You bet.
If they're going to be great at something, be great at it.
And it's voluntary, so it stays within the independent contractor status. You don't have to be comp certified. But if I'm an agent, I want to be able to roll into my listing appointment and saying, listen, I'm a professional. I sell these many houses. I invest this much into my business, into my learning, into my continuing education. And on top of that, I'm even comp certified from Urban Nest Realty, who does this amount of business. These are the brokers. These are the owners. This is why I know what I know. Beautiful.
I love it.
Nice.
I'm in.
And we will be taking that certified spot even further in purchase agreement, listing agreement, with
Buyer
Georgia,
rep, seller rep,
all that stuff.
all that.
But we're starting with
Marketing.
Exactly. Just another thing that we are committed to doing for you. Okay, I want to talk about the Southwest office and the Southwest area.
Yes.
So the Southwest is one of my, if Summerlin's my wife, the Southwest is my mistress. You know, I don't know why.
Why?
When I was a broker at Realty One, my dad was the Summerlin broker. And ultimately became the general manager. He grew it to 650 agents. Insane. Just Summerlin, right? So that's where I got kind of learned, right? Thrown in the fire. And then I got my own office in the Southwest, which is right across, it's not there anymore, it was right across from where the GLVAR is now.
Oh, okay. Right on.
So right where that pinnacle, I think it's a lending, was right there. And built it up to 200 agents. So the Southwest has a special place in my heart.
Yes.
Right? It's my first office, right? So that's that. But then the Southwest to me is the link, right? The curve, the bend, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing that connects
that whole west side
to the east side.
East side, yeah.
The two most recognizable and known spots in Las Vegas are Summerlin and Green Valley. It is what it is, right? But I think there's such a gem in the middle there, right? It's growing, but yet it's still, even in a great market like it is, it's still such a great value.
Yes.
When I look at my average sales in Henderson and Summerlin on our offices versus Southwest, it's significant. It's a good 10% less in the Southwest.
Yes.
Right?
Well, it's newer. There's a lot more affordability in that side of town.
And there's some exciting things. And there's give and take for me with master plans. I love master plans. There's protection, protect the value of your homes, protection of your infrastructure, your parks. You know what's happening, right? You're not going to have, I mean, Kmart's not building anywhere, but you're not going to have a Kmart behind you, right?
Yes.
It's just not the way it is. Southwest is more literally the wild, wild west. But with less rules comes some more character.
Yeah, and creativity.
Exactly. So did you read about this thing called the uncommons?
The uncommons.
It just uncommons.
No, what is this?
Okay. So if let's do a little. If this is IKEA, this is the 215, this is Durango,
Got it.
right? The bend is going
Right there.
here. Buddy of mine, Jay Dapper, he's doing that. He's gonna make it awesome. Some like Lotus of Siam is going in there.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Luxury theaters, some really cool spots are going in here. So that's exciting in itself. Next to IKEA is Walker Furniture and a lot more restaurants too, right? We are here, right? Because there's that big hole,
Yep.
right? On the other side of Beltway, right here, across from the hole and all that, is a thing coming called the Uncommons. Just on Channel 5 yesterday.
I didn't see it.
So cool. It is live, work, play, eat, all in one thing. So it's campus where luxury apartments, coffee, restaurants, the whole nine, office space, theaters, like it's literally a commons.
Got it.
And it is a $400 million project going right there.
That's pretty awesome.
Pretty cool, right?
It is.
And you've been here through the recession?
Oh yeah, as a realtor.
What year you get here?
I moved to Vegas in '99, got my license in the beginning of '05.
But you've seen the ups and the downs.
I've seen the ups, the downs, the growth, the dark, everything.
So do you remember the two places that got hit the hardest, in my opinion, during the recession was the Southwest and the Northwest.
Yes.
Now the Northwest got decimated. Providence got crushed.
Yes.
What else? Aliante, not
Well, because
Providence.
everybody got their project off the ground when
Yes.
things were looking great, but unfortunately it took a turn.
Aliante got crushed. That's what I meant more than anything.
Yes.
Because what happened was this. Summerlin got too expensive. Green Valley got too expensive. Then they started figuring out that Southwest was a gem. So Southwest started to creep up towards Summerlin and Green Valley prices. So people said, we will go west, young man. We went to the Northwest.
Yeah.
Even though, I'm not going to offend you Northwest people out there, but after you go to Cheyenne,
Not a whole heck of a lot for a minute.
beautiful. I mean, I'm in reverence. I get it. But the shopping, the restaurants, the infrastructure, is not a lot up there. Right. You go up there to live, to have more rural life. Right.
Yes.
So, but back to my original point, when we used to go to, what's the guy that used to do Crystal Ball? Richard
Lee.
And he'd tell you all about these awesome projects coming.
Yes.
Southwest had everything.
Everything going on. All of the cranes he counted
Yes.
was always either on the strip or in that Southwest corridor.
Everything was there. It is still.
Well, because didn't they start the Gramercy and then have to blow it up because
Yes.
the project sat stagnant for so long?
I had Manhattan West. They did an article on my dad and I in the paper. Father and son buying in Manhattan West.
Wow.
We got our money back, thank God.
Goodness.
But yes, the Gramercy, that was happening.
Yeah.
There was the high rise they're building. There was a high rise where that new building on this side is. There was a high rise going up there, and then I think it was called Wellington. Was it Wellington Park where the big hole is across from IKEA? That hole?
Yes.
Something Park, right?
Yes.
And that was why they did the hole. So Southwest is the spot. I would go out and venture to say that from what we're talking about right now, which you got the the IKEA spot,
Yeah.
the Bend. They still have to do something there.
And Summerlin is trickling into that
It
area.
goes all the way.
I got invited to an event, a realtor event at Pardee Homes, and it said something in Summerlin. And I'm like, oh, that'll be right by my house. I'll just hit it on my way home. When I plugged it in my GPS, I went down. It was literally right next door to Wet and Wild.
Yep.
And they're calling it Summerlin.
It is Summerlin.
And I was like, wow,
You know-
Summerlin in the southwest.
You know why they did that?
Why?
Summerlin traded with the city or the county some area that's protected against the mountain for some more land south.
Got it.
So Summerlin goes from
But
where I am
now
in Cheyenne.
Summerlin is southwest.
It is.
And that's pretty awesome.
It is. So the fourth corner is owned by Fertitas and Station Casino.
Yes.
So I don't know what they're gonna do with that.
Well,
So-
the Stations Casino, they have to say they're building a casino for 10
Of
years
course.
before they actually build it.
But I mean, I don't know the future casinos, but it'll be a decent spot, right? So that's what's going on there. So that, I believe, is still one of the most untapped areas. And then if you go a little bit further down to Blue Diamond, all of a sudden everything between Blue Diamond and the 215, you have some good opportunity. So what does that bring us? You are the broker of the Southwest office.
Yes.
Right? Now, we got some interesting things. We have friendly competitions, not necessarily between the offices, but between our agents, right? We have our top producer event tomorrow night, Dan? Tomorrow night, Dan. Open bar, right?
Open bar.
No other way to have it.
Tell me any other brokers you got open bar, right? So the cool thing about Georgia's office, she has 3 of our top producers in her office. So she's got some heavy hitters. She has Denise Klein, who is crushing 100 transactions a year. Jim Fong, crushing up to about 100 a year. And Azim, doing 100. Azim
The Jessica
the Jessica Group, Azim and
Azim
Sarah.
and Sarah.
So we have 3 of just the textbook premier teams in this industry. Like, they're successful as human beings, leaders, and in their business.
Yes.
Right. So you got, that is your foundation over there.
Yes.
So the way we usually compete with this is, since you know we're capping our agents, regardless, before we even cap, I'm obsessed with amount of deals per agent.
Well, I think that is the true metric for an office and a company. Absolutely.
So they're killing it over there with deals per agent, and that's something that I had the ability, or I'm looking for a different word, the distinction when we had 4 offices at Realty One.
Right.
My office was doing like 150, 170 transactions with 200 agents. Remember that, Dan? So I used to joke with my dad, who had about 600 agents, 650, doing 300 transactions. I'm like, you may be doing more transactions, but I have a more successful brokerage, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of how we do it. So here's the cool thing about the Southwest. It's only 13, 14 months in.
Correct?
Georgia has gotten it to 110 agents, which is a really good number.
Yeah, because when I came aboard, I think we had 41 or 42.
Yep.
So that's where we are today. It's pretty
And
awesome.
it's a gorgeous, beautiful office. Now, something we have there that we do not have here in Summerlin is a couple of primo offices for teams that are looking to come over and kind of fine tune.
Yeah, and this is a cool problem to have, because we got to it because Denise Klein's team grew so much. We had to do a little bit of rearranging, which actually freed up a couple of offices.
Yeah, I mean, what are we, about 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. If you're on the fence and you're at like 20 transactions, 30, and you want to take that next jump, right? Or you're giving your broker maybe a little bit too much money, and you're like, I love my brokerage, or they're good people, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze, your favorite comment, to give them an extra 20% or 25%, I could do the same amount of business and make a 25% raise, right? Reach out to her, because she has some opportunity over there. And the thing about the Southwest, like our entire company, really, is there's going to be limited space, right? That's it. We're not expanding space. We're not, I mean, we told you, our new agents, we're only going to allow 25 new agents at a time. Brand new agents in our program. So they got to graduate out for us to bring new people in.
Yeah, that's fresh out of real estate school or under 5 transactions.
Exactly, which again, a lot of brokerages base their entire hiring sequence on bringing in a lot of new agents.
Well, because that's the biggest dollar.
Of course.
For the broker, typically. And that can make sense.
You know what? That I believe on, I talk about this and everything. It's the 80-20 rule. So I have this conversation with all the coaching clients I have, all the top producers. It's like, listen, 80% of your business, 80% of your success, 80% of everything is coming from this. 20% is over here, right? This is like opportunity and trying something different. That's cool. 80-20. There's nothing wrong. People just kind of end up there. When they get into problems is when they spend 20% of their time on what's giving them the 80% of the success, and they spend 80% of the time just only giving them 20% of the success.
Because you spent so long building that foundation, you can't. It's not a set it and forget it. That something has to be migrated or maintained and paid attention to.
And I think being super cognizant of the agents that have been with us for 5, 7, 10 years in some cases from other companies, not just forgetting them and putting all this energy into a whole new slew of people.
New cow.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, because that's their business, it just doesn't work for me or for us. So everything we do, there's going to be limits on. So there is opportunity there if you're a person who likes big, beautiful office space, because we renovated Summerlin so that it looks like Southwest, because that's how nice it came out. Even all these new office stuff. I mean, my Southwest agents were joking and going, "We want that too." I was like, "Just go look in your conference room. It's the same stuff." I mean, right? They didn't realize it.
Yes.
So make sure you reach out to Georgia. She's tagged on here, but you could have private interview and everything like that. And then, I will never take I'll never take credit for other people's success. But I do know is we've had the honor, my dad and I, to watch teams like Faith Harmer and Azim and Sarah go from 20, 30 transactions to 100.
Yes.
Now, they did the work and they're the ones that did the success. I would like to hope and believe that at least we put them in a situation to succeed, an environment, right? They probably would have done it anyway, but maybe we helped them along the line.
You can't be an island in real estate. It's really, it takes a village, success through others, all of those little catchphrases, I think, apply. And while I don't doubt that Faith, just her strength and her determination, would be successful at just about anything she touched.
Yes, without that.
But what she's been empowered to do is to be successful for herself and make her team successful as well. And I do think we've played a part in that.
I'd like to
because
think so.
we help with that empowerment.
And I will say this. I won't take credit for other people's success, but I will say this. I said that twice. I will say this. No, I believe that we have the people in place because it comes, you know how I feel, people over systems every single day. We have the people that can take you to the next level and do it in an intelligent way.
Absolutely.
Because there's a great quote, and let me read it to you. I've been reading this book, and I love this book. It's called The 12 Principles of Life, 12 Rules of Life. But this is one of my new favorite quotes, if I can find it. To journey happily may well be better than to arrive successfully. And I truly believe that when we sit down and we talk about your business, and you're like, I've done 20-something deals, my trajectory is 40, my trajectory is 60, and usually it goes vertical. That's the way kind of compound interest goes, right? Yeah. You don't go from making $250,000 to $300,000. It goes from $250 to $500 pretty quick. You go vertical, right?
Yeah, it's the opposite of diminishing returns. It becomes exponential.
Yeah, it doubles itself. I do believe that we do have the people in place to help you get there. So if you're ready to take that next step. So that's that. So we're gonna finish with a topic that I've been wanting to attack for a couple of weeks.
What would that be?
Good, we're only 38 minutes in. All right.
Good.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Ooh, yeah. What an interesting guy.
I love Gary Vee.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a full disclosure. So Gary Vee, little background. Don't let the quote that we're going to tell you turn you off. For entrepreneurs like you, me, all of us, he's someone you want to follow. His video, his social media. He shows you how to do social media. Part of the reason why we're doing video right now is because I was inspired by Gary Vee, right? A super intelligent stock investor, basically took his father's wine store and created a wine library on TV, doing videos, and blew up.
Yes.
Right? Well, he's been at Inman, he's a speaker. He even has, some irony in this, he even has an agent event. He just did an AG 2021 event for realtors, mortgage people, insurance people. And he came out on a hot take. He was doing a podcast and said home ownership is a bad deal. And if he could have his $400,000 down payment back so that he can invest it, he would. Now,
because he essentially said home ownership should no longer be the American dream.
yes. He also took a shot at the same time to college.
Yes.
He said, you're throwing your money away if you go to college.
93% of those that are in college shouldn't be.
Exactly.
If you want to be, the high-powered attorney, yes. But for the average person in their career, college may not be as relevant as it was for my generation and then my parents' generation.
So I'm going to ask you questions about that.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, and then we're going to get back to the home ownership thing. You don't make money off of people going to college, right? The way we all make money is home ownership. So it's a little emotional when we hear that statement because we're blinded.
Yeah.
It's tough to look at both sides of a situation and be like, all right, let me look at this, see if he has a point. So you already made a point that you agree with some of the things he's saying when it comes to college.
Yeah.
Right?
I do. I've been faced with that because I was doing some financial planning, and my financial plan, my children are 8 and 10, and they asked me, do you want to save for college? I am stuck on this question right now because I want them to find what makes them happy and follow their dream, and I don't necessarily know if college is on that roadmap anymore. So I'm struggling with this specific question, not for me, but for my kids.
So what I like about Gary is he challenges things and he forces you to look at things in multiple ways and not just accept. He said this great quote, and I know I probably wrote it down, like, people are willing to stick up for the way that things always used to be done, like the past.
He said that quote, and I jotted it down. I can't remember exactly what it is. You're more willing to fight for what used to be than what is and what could be.
Right?
Something along, I butchered it, but something along those lines.
He wrote it, right? I mean, it's insane. So, and usually history comes back and proves you wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Socrates and Da Vinci, these people they got killed for their ideas, right?
Because they were so forward thinking.
Exactly. So here's where I said, Gary Vee Hot take about home ownership. What does it say about you, our industry, and what does my Aunt Donna have to do with it? So the way I was looking at this is how you react to this says more about you or me than it does about Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you lose your cool and you're already just going to attack, then you're letting it affect you. Right? Because my first thing is, let me try to prove this true in my brain. It's almost like a debate technique, right? I've never been in a debate class, but I would assume in a debate class, the first thing they teach you is try to go onto the other side of the coin and argue that.
Yes.
Right? Argue in favor. Try to put yourself in both sets of shoes, right?
Well, I another quote I read years ago was the true strength of a leader is to be able to sit and listen to a different viewpoint than your own.
Or even try it on.
Yeah, try it on and try it. And with Gary, where I didn't agree 100%, I can see his points. I get it. It's not I didn't feel like as he was talking, I said wow a couple of times.
He was very aggressive.
But it didn't make me angry.
Yeah.
You know, you see that with politics. Somebody speaks their mind and everybody gets angry.
Yes.
And I don't think there's a place for anger in thought and cognitively working your way through something.
If not, you're a sheeple.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's like, politics is a great example. Like, I respect the person who is able to take left and right views and make them their own, because they're not just going to swallow all the nonsense that the left or all the nonsense that the right is giving them.
Right.
Like, if you basically say, I'm for this, and that, and they all go on one side, I'm like, are you thinking for yourself? Probably not.
Sheeple.
Exactly. So I like the fact that he's challenging the thoughts.
He's thought-provoking, for sure.
Exactly. And with the problem with our industry, one of the many, is they're a bunch of sheeple. And the irony is they can't agree on anything. They'll cut each other's throats for a listing. They will for an agent, for whatever. But God forbid someone comes after the industry, they all come out.
Yes.
And I think they're looking at it from a position of scarcity rather than abundance.
Yes.
Because the way I look at it is, you know what? You may have some points. The way home ownership may be like uncommons in the future, where, you know what, I don't want to own a house because I want to rent a luxury apartment that I can go eat and work and be close to everything. And that point in my life, that may make sense, right?
But, you know, I kind of went way off with some of his things. And I get it. You know, think about if you were to cash out your home and invest and just rent. You know, you can definitely grow your net worth. But then I started thinking, who owns the homes?
Yeah.
Will 20 years from now, will I walk into Sears to buy a home?
Yeah.
Because will it be all corporations?
Or Blackstone or Open Door?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, will I walk into like Best Buy or an institution like that to buy a home, opposed to having individual ownership?
Without a doubt. And listen, for most people, and I think this is where you gotta look through his lens. This is a guy who's made all his money through the stock market and through owning a business. Okay? So when he looks at cash, he's like, I can make multiples of that cash through these two forms, probably faster than owning a home. Because owning a home is a slow, steady way of building wealth, right? But what he fails to say is, which I bring up all the time, if you take that $200,000 in equity and you put it into a business, the chances of you failing at that business are 90% in the first 5 years.
Huge.
And guess what? Stock market? I don't know. Like, I don't know where to start, you know? So I think for the average person that isn't sophisticated in these areas, who can't turn this money into multiples quickly, it makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, I couldn't stop being in real estate tomorrow and decide to become a day trader.
Yeah.
I don't have the skill, I don't have the know-how, and neither does, I think, the average person.
Now, luckily enough, we made it the first 5 years, and we're well into the second 5 years. So we may become the 1% that has
Makes
made it. So there were times during starting this business and reinvesting in it that rather than buying some very attractive rental homes that could pay me back on rent and appreciation and equity, I've reinvested in the business to pay me back, right?
Yes.
But I think that's more of the exception than the rule.
I agree.
Not to give my father or I a pat on the back. There's a lot of luck involved, whatever. So then the last thing is this. This is what it made me think of. What does it have to do with my Aunt Donna? And this is where I think realtors really drop the ball. The ability or the care to say, you know what, Georgia? I know you want to buy a house. Now's not the right time. I know you want to sell your house, but you may want to wait. The reason why I call it my Aunt Donna is my dad always tells, his probably the most sage advice he gives people is treat your clients like you would someone you loved. And he always says, my sister Donna, right? Because it's obvious you can take care of your spouse, your mom and your dad. But his sister Donna, he always takes care of, right? He wants, so he uses my Aunt Donna as an example. So if you're around the table and Aunt Donna was like, I think I'm going to sell my house. And you can't predict the future.
Right.
But if you're like, hey, Donna, you may want to wait a year or two.
If you can,
of course,
maybe we should.
Of course, you're giving them the options, your ability to say no to a commission, right, and not just be a prostitute realtor who wants a commission, right. So I think that plays a little bit into what he said, because it's not always the right time to buy or sell.
I agree, absolutely.
And that brings it full circle to the Jerry Maguire, doing the right thing.
Right, and that is laying seeds for the long haul. Because now is not good, but maybe a year or two, and guess what? I'm still going to be here a year or two, and I won't need a check a year or two from now. And
you're going to refer 3 people right now.
Yes.
That have to sell or buy.
And what blocks the ability to give that advice is that scarcity.
Desperation.
Or that desperation. That commission breath moment.
I like the commission breath.
That commission breath moment that does not allow you to actually put the client first. And when you look at our duties owed, that's the paramount essence of what we owe to our client, is put their interest first. My interest is getting a check in 60 days. Your interest maybe waiting 6 months, 8 months, a year. And I think that is how you actually develop integrity, is being able to make that distinction.
I don't think that's how you do. Like you said, I think that's how you do it. That is how you do it. It's 100% being willing to do the right thing
when nobody's looking.
And you know what? That conversation, it feels good. It's like giving away your last $20 when that's all you have. At least you did the right thing. And I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in coming back and doing it right. Sitting down with someone and being like, we've had agents come to us and say, I want to come, and they got 10 in escrow. And I'm like, listen, your company's going to take all your money. Now's not the time to come.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're not begging for a dip in your business, but wait till that day comes and then jump, because you're going to lose a lot of money.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's saying, like, even when you came over saying, you know what, we want you, but we got to make sure that you're protected. Like, it's all about putting other people's interests just a little bit more. And Gary, in all fairness to him, he has this 51-49 thing that I really love, where he always wants to give at least 51 and take. He wants to have that equation where he's getting less than he's giving.
Yes.
And in all fairness to him, again, he gives away all his content for free. All of it. In the same interview, they called him the Robin Hood of that, because he charges the rich money for consulting and gives the poor, the regular, the commoner people, the free advice. A lot of people charge $10,000 for seminars, and it's $500 a month to be in their little group. Gary's not doing it.
It's truly serving others, and I think that advice. And I've been in that situation, interviewing an agent, and I'm like, wow, you're going to take a hit if you go now. And it's truly putting them first and serving them regardless if they are at your company or not. That's why I teach.
Yeah.
I teach for us, but I teach for a lot of other entities. Yeah. I don't care what company you are at. You deserve to know. And I want to make sure that happens. So.
Hence another reason why we do this to everybody. Like, other brokers could be sitting there writing notes. And I know it sounds cocky to say that other brokers. But listen, if you think what we're doing is work and copy it, go for it. Because there's only going to be 500 of us. When we're out there doing hopefully 6,000 transactions a year, someone's going to be on the other side of that transaction. It works better for everyone if they're more educated and we have a great relationship with them. Absolutely. Like, there's certain brokerages, I'll just say, like my buddy Craig Tan out there, Billy All, there's people out there that we love doing business with that are just great people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Melissa Zimbelman, there's tons that are never going to be probably at Urban Nest, but when you see their name and their face on the other side of a deal, you're like, this is going to be professional, fun, perspective filled.
You get a little bit of excitement to be able to work with a true professional, because when we're on opposite sides of the deal, it's not like a court case where you've got prosecutor and defense. We're not adversaries. We actually have the ability to create win-wins. We're more like mediators than attorneys as far as the playing field that we have. You
couldn't have said it better. I always when I'm doing broker issues, one of the things I always run back to is this. Let me see where we're at. Is everyone wants to tell their story of how they got slighted. Well, they did this and they did that, and they're not focusing on the actual issue they have to fix, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I say is, hey, listen, let's remember that we all have the same finish line.
Mm-hmm.
The buyer wants to buy, the seller wants to sell, the listing agent wants to sell, protect their seller and make money. The buyer's agent wants to protect their buyer and make money.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going like this, like you said.
It's
we're all
like
trying
that.
to go in the same direction.
Yeah.
So a little perspective goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
So that, we covered a lot.
We covered a lot in
It
just
was-
a short hour.
Can you believe I put that all together in my little pea brain of a head?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Do you have any parting shots for the day?
Oh, goodness. Let's see. You know, I think that the main message is, you know, I like how we started with serve them steak even though they think they want burgers.
Yeah.
And really what that comes down to, another way to say it is learn the expectations and then come up with a plan to exceed it.
Exceed expectations.
As that. And I don't have to set the expectations. I need to hear what my agents, you know, because my client is our agents. But as an agent, your client are the clients out there, the consumer. Find out what they want and take it up a notch or two. And that's all you have to do. And when your client aims here, just deliver here. When your client aims here, deliver there. And from there, you're going to build an outstanding, stable business.
And the beauty of exceeding expectations nowadays is they're so freaking low. So all you have to do is a little bit more than what's required, and you're going to stand out.
Yeah.
Amazing. There's a quote, I don't remember exactly how it goes. It says, go the extra mile. It's not crowded there, or something
No,
like
it's
that.
not.
You know
No,
what
it's
I
not.
mean?
Yeah.
So beautiful. Love it. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. I love the opportunity. Sorry your dad couldn't be here, but I love the chance to do this.
Beautiful.
All right.
Go. Take care.
Bye, guys.